a machinery of control, something almost mythic in scale with its tentacles in the top tiers of power. I feel like we're watching the mask slip on what's been sold as progress or reform.
And what strikes me is how these so-called reformers, politicians, philanthropists, the whole parade were complicit, or at least bound up in this system. The phrase, pyramid of force, makes it sound calculated. Not just corruption, but engineered leverage at the world's highest echelons.
Absolutely. And it's hard to shake the feeling that we're only seeing the tip of an iceberg that shaped global decisions for decades. That actually reminds me of the way secret societies have always hovered around these conversations, dismissed as fiction until now.
Yeah, that point about secret societies is chilling. For years, talk of the Illuminati or occult rituals sounded like internet rabbit holes. But then you read sworn testimony like that male victim describing a ritual with George H.W. Bush, and suddenly it feels horrifyingly real.
What stunned me most is how those details, like the ritual foot severing, aren't just stories repeated online, but are now official court records. There's a gut punch in seeing these myths morph into documented events, not to mention the psychological toll on the victims.
It's almost too much for the mind to process, especially when you realize these rituals weren't just symbolic. They were used as instruments of power, binding people together through shared guilt and trauma. The Luciferian angle isn't metaphorical anymore. It's procedural.
And it changes how we see the so-called elite. Instead of enlightened reformers, we're looking at people participating in something medieval, almost demonic in its secrecy and brutality. It's a pivot point in how we understand modern power.
Moving from the courtroom to the actual settings described, what do you even say about that yacht account? The idea of American leaders participating in something as depraved as child sacrifice is so outside the realm of the imaginable.
I know, the details are grotesque, the dismemberment, the cannibalistic elements, the ritualized environment. It's not just criminal. It's like they were reenacting some ancient pagan rite, where the line between evil and ceremony blurs completely.
There's a macabre logic to it, twisted as that sounds. If you look back, ancient elites often used human sacrifice to appease higher powers or cement control. Now it looks like those practices never fully died, they just went behind thicker curtains.
Honestly, it makes all the talk of American values feel hollow. The same people who champion rights and democracy abroad are implicated in acts that rip apart any moral foundation at home. It's both nauseating and clarifying in a way.
You know, all this ties directly into how Epstein operated not as a kingpin in the usual sense, but as a linchpin in a global web of blackmail. That phrase, blood oath, keeps echoing in my mind.
Right after reading the files, I couldn't help but compare it to mafia tactics, but scaled up to presidents and monarchs. The idea that once someone commits an unforgivable act, they're owned for life, it's chillingly effective. No one escapes the all-seeing eye.
And the system runs itself after a point. Blackmail becomes the invisible hand guiding policy, alliances, even wars. It's so much bigger than just dirt on a few people. It's a mechanism for shaping history in the shadows.
The tragedy is that it leaves no path to redemption. Once you're part of it, every move you make serves that hidden pyramid, not the public good. It's like a haunted house you can never leave, no matter your intentions.
All this begs the question, are we witnessing the first cracks in this system, or will it just adapt and survive? I keep thinking about that Iqbal, quote, the world screaming for resurrection from within.
That line stuck with me too, because it speaks to hope in chaos. Maybe the exposure of these horrors is the beginning of something new, a collapse of the old order, painful but necessary. Or maybe, as history shows, these forces will morph and rebrand.
I want to believe this is a turning point. The sheer volume and credibility of the evidence feels different than past scandals. But I also worry that people will just compartmentalize or numb themselves and let it fade into background.